Ryan Jarrell here for MMA News, and you can see my next guest back in action on May the 4th at UFC 301 when he takes on Alexandre Pantoja for the flyweight title. And of course, it is Astro Boy himself, Steve Erceg, back on the show. Steve, how you doing?
Yeah, doing very well, thank you.
And I do understand that you're in Rio already. When exactly did you get there? What has like I guess the adjustment been like since you've made it there?
Yeah, so we got here on Tuesday night last week, and yeah, it's been hard to get acclimatized, or as in you just get sleep right and stuff. Been waking up really early and then trying to start quite late because the fight's gonna be late. But I feel like I'm adjusted now, at least very close.
Okay, that's good to hear. And man, three fights into your UFC career, Steve, and here you are fighting for the title. I know you've probably already been asked this a million times, so forgive me. I'm going to try not to ask you a bunch of questions that you're getting peppered with already, but are you surprised? Did you expect to be in this position so soon?
Um, I didn't expect to be here this fast, especially before my first UFC fight. But after my first fight, I thought there was a chance I could get there quickly, have some dominant wins in the what's it called, the top 10 rankings. But still, three fights pretty quick. I'm obviously excited that it has happened so fast. I feel like I lost a few years during COVID and with the visa issues and all that sort of stuff. So I'm about where I want to be at this point in my career.
Yeah, in less than a year since you made your UFC debut. It must be such a whirlwind when you sit back and think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I did see that it's been 11 months, haven't even been in the UFC a year, and I'm fighting for a title, it was yeah, pretty crazy. But yeah, it's we take the opportunities and train for a long time, and sometimes good things happen.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, very happy to see you in this spot. What were your initial thoughts when you heard about it? You got the matchup. When you look at Pantoja, what did you feel like stylistically the benefits are going to be for you here in this matchup?
Yeah, obviously he's very tough, great fighter. I just think I'm a little bit cleaner on the feet. That's like the main area, I guess. I think he has a great chin, and his striking sets up his takedowns and his grappling mostly. But although it is effective for him, I'm just cleaner.
Do you feel like he's 100% focused and taking you as an opponent seriously? Because he's been talking about wanting to go up to 135, talking about fighting O'Malley and all this stuff. Do you feel like he's overlooking you a little bit?
No, I don't think so. He's fighting in Brazil in front of his home crowd. I imagine there's plenty of pressure on him to make sure he performs. So he's going to come in ready, prepared. I know that. He knows that. So it's going to be a fight.
And you're a big guy for flyweight. What are your thoughts on him fighting at bantamweight? Do you feel like he's big enough he would have success at a higher weight class?
Um, Hard to say. I don't know. Um, Obviously Figueiredo is doing his thing up there. He's doing decent. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Well, you mentioned Figueredo, so let's transition there. I wanted to get your thoughts. Obviously, UFC 300 is now in the rearview mirror. What a spectacle that was! Where did you watch the fights, and what was your takeaway from what Figueredo is doing at 135?
Yeah, so I watched it at my dad's house. That's where we often watch the fights. And yeah, I mean, he's doing well. I wasn't overly impressed. Not that I wasn't impressed. I didn't think his first performance was as good as everybody else was saying it was. And I thought he would struggle against the better guys in the division. His performance against Cody, I thought obviously he's not easy to take Cody down. And then even when he does get taken down, he pops back up really well. So I thought his grappling looked very good in that fight. And I'm excited to see what he does against some of the higher ranked guys in the division.
And you and I spoke before, your most recent fight. You had a big win over Matt Schnell. You've talked to me about, wanting to eventually go up to 135 down the line. It's not something that's happening in the immediate future, but do you think that there's a chance that maybe you'll meet Figueredo at 135, or do you think he'll be long gone by the time you get there?
I think it's likely that he's gone by the time I get there, but you never know. I'd be happy to fight him. Obviously, it'd be cool having former flyweight title holder, and then obviously I'm looking to win the title, and then we both go up to bantamweight and then fight at bantamweight. That'd be pretty cool. But I imagine by the time I'm ready to go up, he might have left by then.
Okay, fair enough. Do you feel like Max Holloway was the star of the show at UFC 300?
I think Dana White said it best. He sapped all the energy out of the crowd. Everybody was so excited. Um, yeah, it was crazy. Definitely the fight of the night.
You hear a lot of guys talk about your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, right? I think Max is right in that group. Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, like who are the guys that stand out to you that you can't miss their fights when they're fighting? You make sure that you're either cage side at a big arena or you're watching it at home with your dad.
Um, I definitely like to watch Sean O'Malley. He's very clean on the feet. And I like technicians. And I don't know. I just like technicians, and I guess I'm partial to people that have like not the same build as me, but like a similar style and similar build that I would have. So I like Sean O'Malley for that. And then Pereira, I love watching Pereira. Obviously, anytime Volkanovski or Izzy's fighting, I like to watch those fights. And then one of my favorite guys ever is Jose Aldo, and I'm sharing a car with him, so that's very exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you think he gets a win? Obviously, he's got another tough opponent on deck. This is his comeback fight. He retired. Does he win here at UFC 301?
I hope so. I don't know, honestly. Again, he did retire. He's been away for a little bit, but he's always going to be dangerous. So yeah, I hope he gets to win. Don't know though.
I want to stick with a couple of predictions from you since we're on this theme here. Robert Whitaker, fellow Australian, is going to be taking on Hamzat Chimaev later this year. How do you see that fight shaking out?
I think it definitely depends on what Whitaker shows up. If the one that shows up for his Costa fight, where he's back to being tough and game and wanting to scrap, I think he beats Hamza. I think his wrestling defense will be good enough. I think his striking defense is better than Hamzat's striking defense, and he's going to hit him. And come later in the round, he's going to take him out.
Jacob Malkoon's been rumored to fight Bo Nickel. That hasn't been official yet, but it seems like that's the way that it's trending. How do you see that fight going? Can Jacob Malkoon be the first guy to give Bo Nickel a loss here in his pro career?
Yeah, I think he definitely can be the first guy. I don't know how the fight goes. I think Bo Nickel's pedigree of wrestling is obviously better. Malkoon wins a lot of his fights with his wrestling. Um, but it really comes down to if Bo can get close enough with his striking to make Malkoon have to, or to force him into those more wrestling-y scrambles rather than the MMA scrambles. So I think Malkoon can get it done, but it's going to be a good fight.
Do you think, obviously, when you see guys like Bo Nickel that had such a high level of success as a wrestler make the transition into MMA, that's going to be kind of what we're seeing a lot more moving forward because wrestling is so important in this sport. I feel like you're seeing a lot of wrestlers that, do well in college be like, okay, this is really what I want to focus on because it's maybe an easy transition into MMA if you're a high level wrestler. Do you feel like that's something we're going to see here more and more now?
I don't think we'll see it more. I think we see plenty of it. Um, and to say that it's an easy transition, sure, the wrestling prepares you for aspects of MMA, but one of the biggest parts of MMA is being tough, and a lot of people don't like getting punched in the face, so that's a big deterrent for anybody.
No, for sure. Yeah. I guess what I was trying to say is like with wrestling, it's maybe an easier transition than if you're like just a jujitsu guy, right? Or a boxer. Wrestling, you can kind of dictate a little bit where the fight takes place if you take someone down, if you want to go to the ground, right?
Yeah, of course. It's one of the most important skills to have in MMA. I think the first UFC showed that jiu-jitsu as a single sport is the greatest space if you have nothing else. But with the way that sport is trended, if you can decide where the fight gets to take place, that's a very big advantage.
Last time we saw you fight, Steve, was in March, round two finish over Matt Schnell. You looked fantastic, man. Assess your performance for me. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10?
a tough one. Definitely felt like I was more comfortable in there, and some of the stuff I was working on with my hands and my footwork was has definitely come along. So maybe I'll give myself a 6 or a 7.
Oh,
Lot to
wow.
improve on, lots of things, lots of mistakes made. Um, yeah.
Are you your toughest critic?
I mean, I like to think I am, but Dad and my coach Dave are also there, and they can be not critical, but they definitely have a lot of opinions on where my faults are and how I need to get better. So
Well, I feel like the hardcore fans knew just how talented you were, how good you were going into that Schnell fight. But for anyone else that maybe didn't know who you are as a fighter, I feel like this really was your coming out party, beating someone, a veteran like Matt Schnell. Do you feel like, this win was kind of, again, like your coming out party? You really showcased your skill set to the MMA world.
yeah, for sure. I think the David Dvorak fight, although it was a huge win for me and a very big moment fighting, not a lot of the greater fan base knew who he was, whereas a lot more people knew who Matt Schnell was. So to get a win over him was, yeah, I guess had got more eyes on me than beating the other guys I fought in the UFC.
And obviously, as I said, that fight was in March. Here we are. May is right around the corner. We're a week out basically from fight night. Did you basically just jump right back into camp? Like, how much time did you have to kind of rest your body and relax before you're like, okay, I got to get ready for another tough test here and fight for the title?
Yeah, so I had a couple days of actual relaxing and resting, and then I got the call that I was getting the title fight, and I didn't want to jump straight into hardcore stuff immediately, just more so mentally, just going from camp to camp with how hard camps are is tough. So I went back to training, which I probably would have done anyway, but I tried to keep it playful and enjoyable for the first week and a half, and then that gives me my mental break, and then jump straight back into the hard stuff.
And who did you train with specifically to get you ready for Pantoja? Were you doing anything more so as far as, uh, any aspect of MMA training to get you ready for this fight?
No, not really. I mean, I choose positions that my opponent's good at to brainstorm and Shark Tank and all that sort of stuff. So I spent a lot of time with people on my back, getting to my back, standing, body try, like all these different things in jiu-jitsu, and then went over some of his favorite takedowns and how he strikes. But mostly I'm working on my skills and what I'm going to implement and that sort of thing. So I didn't bring anybody specific. I have lots of people around that I've had for a long time. Obviously, Wilkes Martial Arts. I got Gladiator Wrestling. I have the guys at Scrappy. I have the guys at Legion 13, which is yeah, our affiliate jiu-jitsu school. So I've got lots of great people around me that really stepped up and yeah, helped me out for this camp.
And as I said earlier, you're in Brazil already. Have you been noticed? Has it been something where people have seen you on the streets or anywhere, and they've recognized you or said anything to you?
Not. I mean, some people have done boxing stuff or said something, but it's with the language barrier, it's hard to tell if they know who I am or they just saw the ears or whether they're just yelling at us for some other reason. I don't know, but not really too many people coming up asking for anything really.
You hear about fighters, especially like Americans, foreigners, whatever it may be, making the walk to the cage, fighting in Brazil, and they're yelling stuff like "you're gonna die," that kind of stuff, right? And obviously in their native language. But do you feel like it's going to be a different kind of a walk to the octagon this time, fighting the hometown guy in Brazil?
Yeah, I've thought about it plenty, and I just imagine it's going to be exciting just having that many people yelling and something that you've watched other people do, like growing up watching the UFC, and yeah, to be in the moment, have that happen to you. I'm pumped for it. I can't wait.
And this being such a big moment, main event, title fight, I have to imagine the song choice must be very important to you. This is something that you want to have to get yourself in the right mind. Is it any different here for this fight? Are you going to have a? Can you give me, I guess, a little insight as to maybe where you're leaning, what you might choose for a song choice?
I've had the same song or walkout song my whole career, and it's "Don't Mess Around with Jim" by Jim Croce, and I will walk out to the same song this time.
Okay, so that's never gonna change. You're gonna come out to the same song.
Oh, it might change for a special event here or there, but that's definitely my song for this one.
Okay, very good. We talked about Pantoja already a little bit. This guy is a well-rounded fighter, Steve. 8 TKO victories, 10 submission victories. Where do you feel like he's most dangerous here in this matchup?
His most dangerous position, without a doubt, is on his opponent's back. Um, he is great at pummeling with his hands, great at holding it, can do it from standing on the ground, and he just gets there phenomenally well. So that's his most dangerous area. But I'm prepared for it. It's not like I haven't had people on my back before. I've yeah prepared plenty for him and what he does, and um, yeah, hopefully I don't get there, but if I do, I'm ready.
Do you feel like that's just going to be his MO here in this fight to do whatever he can to turn this into a grappling match, to not stand with you, and to try and get your back to get this fight to the ground?
No, I mean obviously he's going to try to do all that sort of stuff, but I don't think he's scared to stand with anybody. He stood with Manel Karp. He stood with um, Moreno, Rovar. He's been in the like tough fights with a lot of people, and yeah, I don't think he's the kind of guy to be scared of anybody. So I imagine if it comes down to it, he'll be happy to swing with me.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, he's already gotten some big wins, beaten Brandon Royval twice, Brandon Moreno, but his losses to Askarov and Figueiredo, those were decision losses, so a lot of tape to kind of dissect. Did you take anything specific from those losses that he had that maybe okay, there's a hole in his game, something that you can exploit,
Yes,
and you're going to keep that close to the vest?
sure.
Okay, fair enough. But it seems like you're still very confident here coming into this fight. Again, fighting the champ in his hometown. Do you feel like this here may be your best performance that you've ever had?
I think likely it'll be one of the toughest fights I've ever had. He's a tough guy. He's a world champion for a reason. I think I have every skill and everything to take the fight away from him and become the world champ. And he's not going to go without a fight. Let's put it that way.
And with this being 25 minutes, Steve, has this camp been geared towards, making sure your cardio obviously is as good as it's ever been? Have you been, training longer to make sure your lungs are as prepared as possible?
Yeah, so we always do fight simulation stuff. So not only sparring rounds, but we do shark tanks, and they just have fresh guys coming in every 30 seconds, either trying to grapple with you or stand up with you or whatever it is. And usually we do that for 3 5s, and this camp we did it for 5 5s. So it's not very pleasant, but it's not supposed to be. And I got through it. Um, I know I can get through 5 5s in a fight with one guy, that's for sure.
Can you give me an official prediction? How do you see this fight ending?
No official prediction. I've obviously seen it going a lot of different ways. Most likely it's a 5 round decision.
All right. Well, does that make you a little nervous to say that though? Because if you're going into enemy territory, the judges, you never know what they're looking at, and we've seen a lot of wacky decisions nowadays. I imagine you probably don't want to go to decision in his hometown.
No, I definitely prefer get him out of there fast, not just because I'm in enemy territory, and as you said, you don't want any wacky decisions, but who wants to go 5 5? That sounds like a long time. So I'd prefer go 30 seconds and finish it in decisive fashion. But yeah, I'll be doing everything to make sure that it's obvious after the 5 rounds that I'm going to get my hand raised. And obviously, if I finish it before that, that's great.
And if you do win this belt, how much would it mean to you to have a quick turnaround fight and fight in Perth for your first title defense? Is that something that you're hoping you can do?
Yeah, for sure. I have lots of people that have supported me for a long time, and I know there's lots of people that want to go to the Perth event and watch me fight live. So I want to do that for them. I want to do that for Perth, Australia. Yeah, it'd be a dream come true for sure.
Would that mean more to you to defend the belt in Perth, or would it mean more to win the belt for the first time in Rio?
Definitely mean more to win the belt. Um, Defending it, great. Obviously, doing it from my hometown is great, but there's something special about going into enemy territory and taking the belt of some guy in his hometown. Oh, in his hometown.
Love it. Can't wait to watch, Steve. Again, May the 4th, UFC 301. Steve Astroboy Erceg vies for the flyweight title against Alexandre Pantoja. Great talking to you again, man. Always a pleasure. Before we do sign off here today, I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to plug, anyone you want to thank? Floor is yours.
No, just thanking my team and yeah, can't wait for the fight.